Hello everyone, this is the BMW M2 and we're here to see what's changed in the new M2 series. We are,
but this is just on a whole new level.
TVEC.
This is a performance car after all, so you'd expect it to be a lot more rough in terms of ride.
Reactions.
Yo!
Reviews.
Handmade engineering underneath this monster.
Messing around.
4 liters of fuel. Eugene, you're paying for this.
It's crazy. I'm not gonna have enough.
Like, comment, subscribe, enjoy. Firstly, I'd just like to give a massive thank you again to AO Motors for giving us this amazing M2. You can also see the other one, which was actually the launch specification for the M2. You want to check out the details, make sure you click the links down below. So, it's time to talk about the design of the new M2. And I've waited almost 2 years to say this. As I quote Thomas from Throttle House, this is the biggest load of possibly one of, but let me keep decorum. Looking at the new M2, it is a lot more longer, a lot more wider, and honestly, this is literally just a Lego brick. I cannot believe that somebody in Germany took the previous generation and made it so much more straighter, so much more angled. Because look at the previous F80 generation. It is so much more beautiful, so much more of a nice, almost a bulldog looking car. I really do miss that. So now let's actually move to the backside. Now coming to the rear section of this car, you can clearly see that they took this light design from Halo, which is the Xbox Series game. And it honestly looks like they widened the arches over here. It's like they took a bumblebee, or a bee for that matter, and they stung the rear and just got a lot more swelled up. I really don't like how it looks. I've been waiting almost 2 years to say this, and I'm finally glad I got it off my chest. So now let's go see the inside.
Okay guys, you find us on the interior of the BMW M2. I'm going to start off by giving you a brief overview of the infotainment system as well as the gauge cluster. Now the infotainment system is iDrive 8, as iDrive 9 has not been released yet, other than in the 7 series currently. Now this screen, or display if you'd like to call it, is 14.9 inches and the gauge cluster is a 12.3 inch screen. Now the screen currently is showing you the home screen where you have your maps, your setup, as well as climate control, as well as your calls and other music related things. Now you can see that the maps are actually quite responsive. There's a little bit of a delay, but it's not horrible, and it looks quite nice in here as well. Now I will say one of my good things I like about this car is how crisp the display is. It is superb quality and honestly, in my opinion, industry leading in terms of just the quality of the display. Now we're going to have to wait to see what Audi and Mercedes bring in the next coming years, as their advancements have also only started to show now, especially with Audi with their latest digital clusters. But for the meantime, BMW is definitely industry leading. Now, if you want to actually go to all your apps, you press this button here where it shows you your million apps. And I have to say, it is very sensitive. So you'll see where my finger kind of goes, it'll decide that it wants that app. And every now and again, it'll go to vehicle status when you go to the bottom. And it kind of just goes into things randomly every now and again. So I've read a few reviews and I agree with them. This is quite a complicated system to deal with until you've learnt it quite well. So what we'd advise as car enthusiasts or car journalists is actually just to use the BMW control, or really just keep what you need. Yeah. So focus on music, because we all like our music. And then the two most important apps to focus on is actually Drift Analyzer. As you can see, it shows your next drift, your best drift, and all the other things to do with drifting. Now, if you actually go out here, I need to find a better way to get out because that is quite slow. Now you can see here you've got all your things there when you actually put this button at the top there. Now this button is very useful because, as I was suggesting earlier, look at the apps that you really like and then keep that there. Obviously vehicle status, because you're going to have to check if your oil levels are good because it's a BMW. So that's a good one to have. Drift Analyzer, a great one to have. And then if you need something else, you can actually go into your apps again. And you can even do Lap Timer. Now the car does have your Spotify apps just because of your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It has all of that, has your navigation, it has everything you need. Now let's actually get to the fun part of the car. Now, as you can see your live vehicle's got some good camera things, as well as driver settings. Now you can do your setup, and you can then decide what you want to be in. Obviously, because we are race drivers and car enthusiasts, we have to be in the top configuration. Now, if you see here, there's an M1 and M2. These are actually accessible via your steering wheel and are customizable to your choice. Now, if you aren't able to go onto the screen while driving, you can actually come down right here into your center gauge cluster where you have a setup button and an M mode. And when you press this, it will go straight to that display, which is honestly really nice to have. Now, one more thing I want to touch on before I finish up with the gauge cluster is the great physical buttons you have on the steering wheel as well as down there, which you just briefly saw. We can option all your media and so on. You do also have a touch sensitive pad here, and it is movable. So if you don't want to use the touchscreen, which I don't like, I prefer this, you can actually use this as well. Now, briefly speaking about the gauge cluster, you don't need to know much. It's going to tell you your fuel. It's going to warn you if there's problems with the car. It's going to tell you your kilometers and your tire pressures. And it actually will show you your kilometers there and your RPM there. Now, this can be changed upon what you'd like, but I'm not going to show you that because the interior is already long and the car is doing its final display. Okay, guys, we are now inside a different BMW M2. If you saw the exterior, there was a blue one with the launch spec and actually has a lovely interior and is great for our skin color inside of here. Now, the interior, the interior is really nice inside. BMW of latter days has become great with build quality. Them, Audi, Porsche are known now for good build quality. Mercedes has slacked off a little bit. Yeah. So we're not going to speak much about them. Gracious. Yes, it was like only 60 floors of a building. But no, we're going to be nice to them because we like Mercedes and we want AMG to give us cars, give us press cars. But now to the BMW. The interior is great. If you look here, you've got your M2 written over there, which is really nice. This leather is done really well. And everything is just really good. You've got carbon fiber in this car option, which is lovely. And everything is just built well. It is definitely upscaled than the previous M2, which really felt just like a 240i inside. This feels like an M car now. So now, enough about me and the passenger, because I've got ample legroom and I've got great headroom inside here because of how these cars are designed. Let's actually hand it to Letu and then we'll hand it to Eugene.
So even though the car decided to switch itself off and turn it back on again, but in terms of seating position, everything is really nice here. The car, it bongs if you don't have the key inside.
Typical BMW.
Yes, but in terms of seating position and everything, it feels a lot more premium than the previous generation M2 did. Eugene, not Eugene, Mateo already mentioned that.
Yeah.
But one other thing that it does feel is it feels a lot more driver centric in terms of just how the layout is. You feel a lot more like you're in a cockpit than just, you know, in the front seat of a car. Even in terms of the seating position and everything, the seats are a lot more comfortable than what you get in an M3. It feels like you can go on a road trip in this car, whereas the M3...
Now, we do have to mention the M3 generally comes with those really insane carbon buckets or normal buckets. You can get comfort line seats similar to these.
You can get comfort line seats.
But 99% of them spec don't have those for good reason because they're great on track.
Yeah.
But yes, as Leto was saying.
Yeah, as I was saying, definitely. I mean, without the testicle clutcher seats that BMW has, these ones are very nice and very comfortable. There's a lot of leather everywhere, including in the gear selector, which is quite nice. But Eugene is going to touch on this. The rear situation.
It's a bit cramped in here. Now, compared to the previous generation, you do sit a lot higher for some odd reason. I don't understand it. I think it's because it's a longer wheelbase and it's also lower a bit. But you do feel a lot more claustrophobic, in here. Then the spec of this interior, I do like it, but it is a lot more old man's spec, more of his spec than something that I would take. I would more go along the lines of something like black or silver or even white. But other than that, the leather is very nice back here. You can fit more than at least 4 people in here. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And honestly, that's about it. Not really much else to talk about. If I do pull here, you have a loading floor where you can just store other stuff like long skis if you're going to the Alps and everything else. Actually, if I do put this back there, you can just never see it again. So now, let's actually head to the boot.
And before we head to the boot, we're going to just put an overlay on top of that to show you later getting in and showing the back seats as well.
And eventually in that clip, you will see the fact that the chair takes forever to move forward, but also to move back. And it just keeps going back.
Yes, you have no control over it.
Yeah, no control. You just have to let it go. And
boot space.
RIP to the person's knees.
Yeah,
basically.
boot space.
Hello, from the inside of a BMW M2. And the first thing I can say is that there's definitely a lot more space in the boot of this M2 than the previous generation. In fact, there's 390 liters, and if you don't know what that means in terms of volume, it's enough to fit about a 5'9" human being in the back. In fact, it's very kidnap friendly because if you are kidnapped, there's a little bit of a toggle that you can pull that can open the boot from the back. Obviously, you do have your triangle over here. You have a lot of areas where you can tie down your groceries and whatnot in the back. It's very practical, but if you want more practicality, this sedans.
Now coming to the soul of this car, which is honestly the best part of this car, because looking at the outside, I think I've said enough. This is the incredible S58 3-liter twin-turbo straight-six engine. It has around 450 horsepower and around 550 newton-meters of torque. It is the detuned M3 as well as the M4 engine, because in those power figures, they makes around 510 horsepower and around 650 newton-meters of torque claimed. Because with these power plants, people have put them on dyno tests and I've gotten around, well, in this case, almost 470 horsepower and near on reaching almost 600 newton-meters of torque. So I guess the BMW claims are always a lie, but I guess that's all I can just say for now. So guys, we've reached the end of this wonderful review of the brand new M2. Now, sadly, there won't be a competition model because BMW has actually claimed themselves that there will not be a next generation competition. Weirdly enough, there will be a CS, so that's a bit odd. Now, what do we think about the new M2? I had to take a long pause because there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this car, and I actually joined in because I'm an old school BMW fan. Now, on the inside is amazing. Everything about it is honestly a real BMW on the inside. On the exterior, they really do need to do a full redesign because this is honestly a shameful tactic at making a reincarnation of the new M2. What do you think? I think this thing is an 8 out of 10. It could be better, but I guess time will tell. So again, I'd like to say a massive thank you again to AO Motors for giving us this amazing car. When you check out their details, make sure you click the links down below. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.